You're too slow!
Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 is a very broken story. The writing is riddled with holes, mischaracterizations, and terribly broken time travel mechanics.
Why does any of this matter? The game came out 20 years ago.
And 20 years later, the story is still a disaster. Unless you have the Chaos Emeralds and can travel back in time and correct it, how much time has passed is irrelevant. I'll be talking about each story individually, starting with Sonic, then Shadow, then Silver, then the rest of the story. So with that said, let's get started with Sonic.
I'm Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog!
Now before we get started, let's make sure we're on the same page regarding Sonic's abilities. The opening cutscene shows that Sonic can clearly run circles around Eggman's robots before they, or Eggman himself, can even process what happened. He can dodge bullets and explosions with ease. He can tear through these robots like the nothing, and he can run at the speed of sound. He can also induce chaos control. With that in mind, let's have a counter prepared for each of these characters. Lives that should have been saved, and times chaos control should have ended the plot. That one gets its own section because, while chaos control could save so many lives, there's just too many to count, so that's just getting its own section. The top one will be more so in relation to general failings to use the powers. This is all going to stack up very quickly. When Sonic gets confronted by numerous robots, he takes them down as he should, but then Elise gets captured and caught by Eggman's robot. How did Sonic not notice the loud machine grabbing Elise? He should also be immediately turning around anyway to make sure Elise is safe. He just stares forward for a few seconds before Elise screams at him to help him. Keep in mind that Sonic is a speedster, so a few seconds is a lot of time for someone like him to react. And even when Elise does get taken, what's stopping Sonic from running and jumping towards the robot's arm to destroy it? Why can't he parkour around the environment to reach it?
Oh yeah? Show me where Sonic has been able to perform parkour to reach high heights. Okay, but Sonic is just a teenager. You can't expect him to use his abilities and resources to his advantage.
I can actually. He does this in Sonic Adventure 2, with a fake emerald.
It has the same wavelength and properties, but is less powerful than the real one.
The same wavelength and properties. But can I do this? Farewell, my admirable adversary. Hey, Sonic! Whoa, I wasn't sure if I could pull that one off. Somehow I managed to use the chaos control. You actually saved me, you know.
It was a Chaos Emerald, wasn't it? But there's no way you could have activated the Chaos Control using an emerald that's fake.
Speaking of which, yeah, he can use Chaos Control. Elise throws an emerald at Sonic that he could easily use to teleport onto Eggman's mech or onto his airship. But instead of doing that to catch Elise, he watches the ship leave and does nothing to chase it, only to try chasing it later in the story. He waits an entire night before doing so.
You're too slow!
It looks like the princess was moved to another location. Let's head back to the city.
So let me get this straight. The next day, they tried chasing the egg carrier, but the reason they gave up is because it moved to a different location?
Hello? Anybody home?
Of course it moved to a different location. What did you expect to happen when she's being put in a ship? Also, Sonic could have used Chaos Control to catch up to the ship. If he can do this while he's literally being ejected into space, then surely he could do this to reach the ship.
You're too slow!
I saw Eggman on the outskirts of the city. He wanted me to give this to you.
If you want me to return the princess, you must give me your Chaos Emerald. Meet me at my base in White Acropolis.
It's most definitely a trap. I don't think Eggman will honor his agreement.
I'm going. Since Eggman went to the trouble of telling me where Elise is, I think I should thank him personally.
So under the knowledge that this is obviously a trap, they all just walk into the base and give up the Chaos Emerald. No backup plan or anything of that nature, they just give up and walk right into his trap. If they're going to do this, why not bring a fake emerald to make it seem like they're going to uphold their part of the deal?
But that wouldn't work because Eggman would obviously know that it's fake. Nice try, dude.
It doesn't matter if they give him the real one or the fake one. Sonic doesn't need the real one to use Chaos Control to attack Eggman and save Elise. So Sonic could have given Eggman the real emerald to convince him that he's upholding the deal, and used a fake emerald to teleport into his room to knock him out and save Elise. So yeah, Eggman's plot should have been thwarted by this.
With this machine, I'll be able to control the flow of time itself. They've just been teleported by my glorious invention to another time. Who knows where they'll end up? It could be in the distant past or far future. But my machine still requires some fine-tuning.
So Eggman makes it clear that Sonic is being dumped at some random point in time. So, of all the times he could have ended up, they happen to land exactly where they could easily find Shadow and Rouge, and the convenience widens by the fact that Sonic's team happens to see Mephiles and Silver talk about going back in time to kill Sonic.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
While it comes across as forced due to the stacked conveniences, this on its own isn't too egregious, but something in Shadow's story will make this extend beyond a convenience, so keep this in mind until then. So the team finds out that Elise dies on Eggman's ship.
According to the data, the princess died when she was kidnapped by Eggman. Apparently, Eggman's battleship exploded. The date of this incident was 2 days after the Festival of the Sun.
If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship.
This is a really strange framing because they're literally in the future. Sonic says this like they have to hurry now, but they literally have the power to travel through time, and this is going to lead into a mountain of issues in the story. So Chaos Control can be used to send people back in time, as long as 2 users who can use Chaos Control have a Chaos Emerald. So of all the times they could have traveled to, Sonic travels back to the time he left instead of days before, so he has to deal with a strict deadline to save Elise.
Welcome to the 110.
Why not travel to when Eggman first invaded Soliana? If Eggman's ship gets trashed before he captures Elise, then they don't have to worry about Elise dying and the flames of disaster being released. If Sonic relocated Elise so she doesn't get taken earlier, then he would have saved her from Eggman.
SK, they can't just change the past because that would create a time paradox.
The end of Sonic's story literally involves him saving Elise because he went back in time to save her after she died. Sonic uses information from 200 years in the future to make decisions in the present. Claiming this would create a time paradox is not reflected in their actual usage of time travel, which is another problem. The story doesn't set clear limitations on time travel. So many uses of time travel change pivotal events, yet there isn't a clear consequence to it. So this makes it a problem that Sonic even decides to work under a hard deadline to save Elise, instead of ending the conflict before it started. Eggman then issues threats to level the city if Elise doesn't turn herself in to Eggman. So this causes Elise to surrender and enter Eggman's ship. Why wasn't Sonic keeping tabs on the city to make sure Eggman doesn't return? He should know that Eggman would try finding her again, yet he's nowhere to be found when Elise tries turning herself in. Before the ship even arrived at the city, Sonic could have entered and speedran his way to take out Eggman. But I guess he was off doing nothing this whole time. Oh, come on, he didn't at least try using Chaos Control to reach the ship any faster? Maybe Elise was already killed by the damage, so I won't add that to the counter, but Sonic should have at least tried more than just staring at a crashing ship.
There's still a way to change this. If we return to an earlier point in time, we'll be able to save her.
I understand.
Why does Silver need to tell Sonic this? He should have thought of this from the very beginning.
I'll make sure to change Elise's fate. And that in turn should change your future too.
When Sonic goes back in time, he goes back to when Elise is captured by Eggman, instead of before it happened.
You didn't learn your lesson last time. That's cool.
We can give you a refresher course.
Sonic literally failed the last time because he gave himself a tight deadline. So instead of buying himself the most time he can, he decides to give himself a tight deadline.
Good job.
Don't stop to talk, don't stop to talk, don't stop to talk.
Playtime's over.
Sonic,
Can you not talk for a second?
Knock him out, 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 knock him out.
I'm not finished yet!
I guess he couldn't do anything there either because we needed to have a boss fight.
You're too slow.
So that's the conclusion of Sonic's story.
Man, today's not my day. I'm Shadow the Hedgehog.
Similar to Sonic, Shadow is shown to be capable of dodging bullets. He's also able to contend with Sonic in combat, and Chaos Control is practically a signature technique for Shadow, so I'd expect similar feats from the two. So Shadow and Rouge get a hold of the Scepter of Darkness. Eventually, Eggman catches up to them and the scepter drops, resulting in the release of Mephiles. He sends Shadow and Rouge away to some random point in the future, and discovering that they're 200 years in the future is how Shadow learns that he can use Chaos Control to travel through time. A lot of what we see from here was already seen in Sonic's story, so unless it provides something new regarding Shadow's side, I'll just be skipping it over. As we've seen before, Sonic and Shadow used Chaos Control to open a portal to the past, but Shadow stays behind because Mephiles shows up. I don't know why Shadow doesn't consider this could be a trap. He decides to ditch his way home, even though that's part of what their mission was here, so he can ask Mephiles some questions, but if he goes through the portal and meets with Sonic, he'd still have 2 Chaos Emeralds on him. He can just go back to where he came from and ask Mephiles those same questions, but without potentially trapping himself into the future. He would only need himself and Sonic to go back to the future. It would completely remove the need for Rouge to give Omega a Chaos Emerald and have him hold it for 200 years. Now there are elements of Shadow's story that I actually like in this game. Mephiles tells Shadow about how humanity will betray him in the future and tries to manipulate Shadow into helping him punish humanity. But not only does Shadow refuse to believe that's set in stone, but he also rejects the principle behind punishing all of humanity for its failings. It's a good show of his growth from Sonic Adventure 2, and it makes for some good interactions with Mephiles. The potential of this future coming to pass is given solid focus as far as how it affects Shadow's character, as it provides an internal conflict for Shadow to overcome in the story. It's also a good moment where Omega admits to Shadow that he ends up sealing him in the future, because Shadow is perceived as a threat by humanity, and it gives him plenty to consider for the remainder of the story. But in the end, his principles outweigh his fears, and the final payoff demonstrates that Shadow is easily the standout of the story, even if he has his own issues.
Who is Mephiles? And why are you trying to capture him?
If you want to know, you should go find him yourself. But here's a hint. It's all linked to the Soliana disaster 10 years ago.
The Solaris Project.
Indeed. When you capture Mephiles, you must bring him to me. Then I'll tell you the truth about Solaris.
Why does Shadow agree to this deal? Eggman is clearly using Mephiles for another one of his schemes, so there's no reason to trust him here. Why doesn't he just threaten to destroy his work if he doesn't comply? Giving Eggman what he wants only gives him an opportunity to execute his plan. It's not like he has an ability that essentially allows him to take his enemies prisoner.
Don't bother. With the Chaos Emerald's power, I control time and space. You can't break free.
So if Shadow can do this to Silver, why doesn't he do this to force Eggman to comply? Shadow and Silver realize there's a way to discover the truth and what Mephiles really wants, so they go 10 years into the past to figure it out. The Solaris Project blows up and affects several people in the building. Shadow and Silver witness Mephiles and Iblis breaking free, and Shadow is given the scepter to seal Mephiles. Once he seals Mephiles, he meets up with Silver after he seals Iblis.
You're going to leave it behind?
Yes. I already know what becomes of it in the future.
What? What are you talking about?
Why would Shadow leave this behind when he knows that this is needed to seal Mephiles? If he took it with him, Mephiles would never escape and none of the plot ever happens. And to be honest, they could have prevented the deaths that took place that day if they simply went back one day earlier to stop the project. Elise's dad would have been saved if they did this. So then Shadow returns to present day to tell Rouge to find out what they need to make a new scepter.
I need you to access GUN's database. Specifically, find out what materials the Scepter of Darkness was made from. I found the means to seal Mephiles.
Why did Shadow go back to present day to do this? By confronting Mephiles at a later time, he's confronting him at his most powerful.
Oh, that's stupid.
He even shows a Chaos Emerald in his hand to show that he's more powerful. Mephiles is guaranteed to be at his weakest once he first gets reawakened, or when the Solaris project originally went wrong. As soon as that happens, Shadow from right now could travel back in time and seal Mephiles for good this time. And again, the story doesn't establish consequences of time travel, no matter how significant the changes are. The timeline remains intact every time major changes are made by the main heroes. There's also never a rule where they decide not to make any changes to the past to avoid potential paradoxes. Shadow doesn't mention anything like this to Silver when he first learns to time travel. The rules are so undefined that the characters just get away with anything. So when a story does that, it ends up making the time travel overpowered and stacking up a bunch of plot holes like this.
More holes!
I have now absorbed your power through your shadow in the past. What may have worked 10 years ago no longer does.
Wow, it's almost as if Shadow should have tried sealing Mephiles before he became more powerful. So that concludes Shadow's story.
Need to stay focused.
My name is Silver. For the future of the world, I will destroy you! It's no use! This world was devastated before I was born. A harsh, bleak place where we live in eternal darkness. Life is a struggle, and people live without hope. How did this happen? No one will answer me directly, but they always point to the flames.
Okay, so this is going to be a larger issue I have with the world building, specifically regarding the future, the bad future we see in this timeline. The world acts as if they don't know what caused the existence of Crisis City, as if there aren't any resources out there for them to figure it out. Except there are, because Mephiles literally shows that there are resources out there that they can find. Rouge even uses some of them when she ends up in the future, and she just got there. Silver and Blaze have had years to try accessing this information. This is a problem not just because of Silver's ignorance as to how all of this happened, and everyone only giving vague answers, but it would also make Mephiles' story immediately unbelievable. If records still exist, why would Silver and Blaze not be suspicious of Mephiles claiming that Sonic destroyed his world? If Sonic is on record for having saved the world many times, then how is it possible that he caused the destruction of the world? If anything, Silver would have suspected that Eggman was the cause of this through one of his own creations. So Mephiles' story would already be met with a level of skepticism. What's even worse is that Silver asks no questions about the Iblis trigger when Mephiles claims that it's Sonic. Due to his lack of context, Silver could maybe believe in the moment that Sonic is responsible, but that tells him nothing about how to prepare for the fight and how to successfully beat him. Why do neither Blaze or Silver ask about this? Not even what his powers are? This is their one chance to save everything. I'd expect that they'd want to enter as prepared as possible. Also, why did Silver and Blaze end up at different locations? Mephiles would want both of them in the same location because that only increases their chances of beating Sonic. A 2v1 would be beneficial for them, as they'd have strength in numbers.
I finally found him. The Iblis trigger.
Why did you say this twice?
I finally found him. The Iblis trigger.
The first time he said this was soon after Sonic ran away from Eggman, but there was a moment where Sonic would have had to deal with the robots and watch Elise get captured in between. And Silver can fly very fast, he wouldn't have a hard time catching up. So how did he fail to catch up to Sonic in time? For Silver, I'm altering the criteria. Instead of lives Silver should have saved, considering most of the story involves him trying to kill Sonic, I'll instead have his icon represent times he should have succeeded. And this is one of those times. Also, for some reason he jumps down then walks towards the edge instead of flying towards Sonic from the start.
Hey! You're not Sonic! I'm sorry.
Huh? Hey, where'd he go? He must have run off!
Okay, then go after him. We know Sonic didn't run off because we see him the next day in the same town. If Silver searched the area for him, he would have found him very easily. Instead, he literally just stands there.
I sense Sonic's presence here.
What am I doing?
Sorry, find Sonic, I'll help you find who you're looking for, Silver.
Why is Silver even following Amy? He thinks she's searching for a different person, and Silver is adamant on finding the Iblis trigger, because that's his one chance to save his world. Silver can move faster than Amy, and he would have found Sonic very easily if he just went on his own.
But SK, he doesn't want to leave Amy behind. That's too mean of him.
Silver is literally willing to kill someone to save the world. I think he'll be okay with leaving someone to deal with their own problems.
Goodbye.
This is ultimately a waste of his time.
Let's go. I'll help you find who you're looking for.
There's literally no reason for him to do this. Also, did Silver not ask Amy what Sonic looks like? If he did, she would say that he's a blue hedgehog, and considering that Amy said 2 heads are better than 1 when looking for someone, she would have every reason to tell Silver what Sonic looks like from the start. So I'm not sure how Silver is unable to put 2 and 2 together. They eventually do find Sonic. Silver confronts Sonic, but for some reason, Amy doesn't try to stop Silver until later. Silver could have killed Sonic at any time during the boss fight, yet she did nothing to intervene. She also ignores Elise getting captured when she could have protected her. I know I'm supposed to be focusing on Silver, but this part does serious damage to Amy.
He's responsible for destroying my world!
That's crazy! Sonic would never do that!
But it's true! In the near future, his actions will cause the devastation of my world! So I must—
No! I don't believe it. Even if that was true, if I had to choose between the world and Sonic, I would choose Sonic!
Why?
Yeah, Amy would never say this and just leave afterwards. First of all, Silver is claiming that Sonic is responsible for destroying his world, and argues that he would do that. Therefore, he's forced to make a choice between Sonic and the entire world. So instead of maybe appealing to how there's a way to maybe save both, Amy decides that
even if that was true,
she would let the world die to save Sonic. That's utterly insane.
That's clearly not what she meant, SK. She meant that she'll stand by Sonic even if the world turns against him.
Nope.
Silver didn't say anything about the world turning against Sonic. He only said that Sonic will destroy the world, so they have to make a choice between his life and everyone else's lives. Also, that's quite literally what she said. Silver is claiming that they have to choose between them, and her response literally starts with, even if that was true. So she's running with Silver's ultimatum, and decides it's better to let the world die anyway.
You're saying the lives of a billion strangers are more important than my loved ones?
To add on to this, Sonic has a reputation as a hero. Why didn't she instead bring up that Sonic is a hero who saved the world many times? That would only reduce Mephiles' credibility in Silver's eyes, especially since there'd be records she could show to Silver to prove that Sonic is known as a hero in this world. She doesn't even try anything like that, because she's too busy telling him the equivalent of the funny Edge of Timeline. And lastly, Silver has nothing to learn from this, and this is uncharacteristic for Amy, because she literally tried to reason with Shadow so he decides to make the right choice.
Shadow, we need you. Please help us.
It's all going according to plan. There's no reason for me to help them. Besides, there's no way to save anyone.
There has to be. I know that people fight over the most trivial things. Some people may be selfish, like the professor said, but they're basically good. If they try their best and never give up on their wishes, they always have a reason to be happy. That's why you should help them out. Saving them is a good thing. Shadow, I beg you, please do it for them. Give them a chance.
Shadow, I beg of you, please, do it for me.
Maria!
Future, the Hedgehog.
I promised her, and I must keep that promise. That's what Maria wished for. I've gotta go now. I have to keep my promise to Maria and you.
So with this in mind, Amy wouldn't just make a stupid comment and leave. She would try to convince Silver that Sonic is a hero and that there's always another option to save the world. Leaving is arguably the worst part of this conversation because it shows that she didn't even try reasoning with Silver and is enabling him to try this again behind her back. It also doesn't help that Silver shouldn't be stopped by this either. He can use his powers to fly up and grab Sonic. Amy blocking Sonic from one angle shouldn't even do anything. He can still win the fight easily if he just used his powers. Wait a second, how did Elise escape her cell? By just opening the door? You can just open the door and you escape that way?
What? What are you talking about? about?
Why would Eggman design a cell like that? So, we're eventually brought back to the moment where Shadow and Silver travel back 10 years into the past, but we get to see more of Silver's side when he seals Iblis.
This living flame has been entrusted to the royal family. The flames of disaster will awaken if nothing is done. That must not happen. Eternal Sun, the living flame that has been entrusted to the royal family, fall into slumber with a royal soul. That's a good girl, Elise. Remember, be brave. Don't cry, no matter what happens. Otherwise, your tears will call forth the flames inside you.
So this is the context for why Elise remembers that speech about never crying no matter what happens. The problem is, she couldn't have heard this. She was unconscious while this was being said, so how does she even know about the speech her father gave and why he's giving it? She was also asleep when Silver left, so how did she know what he looked like earlier in the game? Also, she would have found out that he died, and she was a very young child here. Someone who hasn't even passed elementary school can't just suppress their tears when they find out the parent dies. Even a grown adult would struggle with this. So how are we expected to believe that she never cried once after this? She cries when a hedgehog she knew for a few days temporarily dies, but not when her father dies. This doesn't make any sense.
I know how to save our world now. We don't have to change the past. I'm sure of it.
Wait, shouldn't Silver be surprised by this? I thought the point of helping Sonic was so he can save Elise to prevent the flames of disaster from releasing.
I'll make sure to change Elise's fate. And that in turn should change your future too.
So if Sonic didn't change her fate, then tons of people would still die and the flames would continue to destroy the world. Why couldn't Silver go back in time to cancel the Solaris project before it even happened? That would actually ensure that none of this ever happens. If he does this, then he wouldn't have to sacrifice Blaze at the end of the story, and Crisis City would never exist.
That took too long.
So, we've arrived at the last story, the one that's going to contextualize the entire plan Mephiles had and make him look like the biggest moron in existence.
Finally, the seal is broken. At long last, I'll be able to join with you.
Mephiles played us all for fools. His plan all along was to cause the princess to be so consumed with despair that she'd cry.
So that's why you wanted me to kill Sonic before.
This is starting to sound like a bad comic book plot.
This is one of the stupidest villain plans in the history of villain plans. I'm just gonna count the amount of times Mephiles should have won. Through chaos control. So first of all, there's no reason for Mephiles to go through this convoluted plan to get Silver to kill Sonic when all he ever needed was to make Elise cry. He can travel through all of time. All he needed to do was go to a time when Elise was a young child and make her cry. Making a young child cry is one of the easiest things to do, especially for a sadistic supervillain like Mephiles. If he punched Elise in the face really hard, she'd definitely start crying. If he said your dad is dead and I can't stop laughing, she's probably gonna cry eventually. There are so many things Mephiles could say or do to get what he wants, it really shouldn't be this complicated to make a kid cry. Not to mention that he didn't even need to make Elise cry. Why didn't he go back to the accident and join Iblis then? Hold on, isn't the entire plot relying on this one event where the flames of disaster got released?
If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship. That means...
Yeah, I think so.
So, if that's what this whole plot is revolving around, then the events must have happened, which explains why Silver's future is destroyed. So this entire time, Mephiles didn't even need to do anything. He just had to go to the day when the flames of disaster got released. Going to Silver is a complete waste of time, but even if he's going to run with this plan, why does Mephiles insist on sending Silver when Elise is older? While she's still younger, she would have had years to build emotional strength, especially within a leadership role. Sending Silver to kill someone she cares about when she's way younger would make his plan easier and more probable to work. If she was somehow able to keep it together when her father died, what makes him think killing a hedgehog she met a couple days ago would do the job? If Mephiles was to send Silver to the past, why do it here and why only to kill Sonic?
Who is the Iblis Trigger? Why does he want to destroy the world?
Why does that matter to you?
Because he's doubting the story you gave him, and the reason he's doing this is because he was sent at a time when Sonic is publicly known as a hero and people could tell him this. Why even bother trying to uphold a narrative when you can get the job done in no time? Literally.
Not a great plan.
He also sends Shadow and Rouge to Crisis City within Shadow's story. Why would he send them there when this is a time and location where Silver and Blaze are active? Not only does this widen the convenience of Sonic's team showing up at the same point in time and location as Shadow's team, alongside Silver's team, but it makes Mephiles look very stupid, because there's a chance that Silver crosses paths with Shadow, and the truth gets told to him.
You're certified 110.
If Mephiles sent Shadow at any other point in time, they would have never met each other, and Shadow would remain in oblivion. Later, Mephiles shows up when Shadow is about to exit the future. I don't know how Mephiles knew that Shadow would be here, considering his intention was to send Shadow into oblivion.
Why are you here? Did you ruin this world?
The answer is yes and no. Perhaps it's better to show you. Yes, that's you.
Why does Mephiles drop all of this exposition onto Shadow? What reason does he have to involve Shadow in his plan, or even entertain a conversation with him? He earlier wanted revenge on Shadow for concealing him, which is why he sent him away to the future. Now all of a sudden, he wants to tell him how bad life gets for him, so he joins his team?
And now it's where we become brothers.
Don't remind me.
After the world was devastated by Iblis's flames, what do you think happened? A search for the guilty. Who did this, you may ask? Humanity wasn't just jealous of your power. They feared it. They used this incident as an excuse to hunt you down. Come with me, Shadow. Let us punish this foolish world of humanity. It's only fair to give back what was intended for you. You have every right to want justice. You forgive humanity this folly, then?
I determine my own destiny.
What's the point of any of this? Mephiles has no compelling reason to build a connection with Shadow. He has every reason to hate him for concealing him. He doesn't have a practical reason to bring in Shadow either, because he doesn't even need Shadow for his plan to proceed. He doesn't accelerate the plan or ensure its success. If anything, this is a waste of Mephiles' time. I also don't see a point of engaging in a fight with Shadow, alongside Omega when he shows up to help Shadow. What exactly was the point of fighting them, as opposed to simply leaving them stranded in the future? They're not necessary for his plan to succeed. Shadow outright refused to help him. So what reason does he have to even engage in the fight, as opposed to leaving? He would have been just fine if he left them stranded. Mephiles then acquires a Chaos Emerald and gives Shadow one last chance to join him. Why is he even taking this chance? When he lost the last time and had to retreat, he knows Shadow would never join him and has no compelling reason to try convincing him, or to even bother fighting him. He can just use Chaos Control to kill Sonic and join Iblis. So this all leads to Mephiles killing Sonic and making Elise cry. This entire plot is reliant on Mephiles choosing the most convoluted and nonsensical plan when he had many ways of getting it done in no time.
But he's crazy. His plan isn't supposed to make sense.
Being crazy doesn't mean he lacks intelligence or the ability to plan. He's crazy in the sense that he craves destruction and power, not in the sense that he's dumb or delusional. It's also a weird defense to run off of, because if Mephiles was truly so crazy and therefore an idiot, then why does the narrative play it off like he's this clever manipulator?
Mephiles played us all for fools. His plan all along was to cause the princess to be so consumed with despair that she'd cry.
How could all of them be fooled by Mephiles if he was just some crazy fool? How could he be a skilled manipulator if he's so bad at planning? The intention is clearly that Mephiles used his manipulation tactics to fool everyone into aiding his plan. The problem is that this stops being believable when Mephiles has numerous other options at his disposal that he would have thought of, therefore making his plan needlessly convoluted.
What's the matter?
I feel Sonic's presence in the wind. I don't think he's dead yet.
No, he's dead. Mephiles shot him straight in the heart, and if he had a pulse, someone would have commented on this. He's dead.
Of course! Let's call him back with the power of the Chaos Emeralds!
You can do that? That's definitely a way to eliminate stakes in any Sonic story if you can just bring characters back to life with the Chaos Emeralds. Could they have done this to save Elise's father? Or any character that has died tragically? This just seems really stupid to establish, and it's barely explained. It's relying on the idea that Chaos Emeralds transfer your thoughts into power, but I didn't think that literally meant anything you can think of. I presumed it was in relation to specific abilities you can think of, not simply wanting something like bringing someone back to life.
You were the vessel that was used to seal Iblis. You should be able to use the gem's power to rescue Sonic's soul.
Yeah, that doesn't explain anything either. Just because you can seal something doesn't mean you have the power of resurrection.
Solaris flung the Chaos Emeralds to the distant corners of this distorted world.
To collect them all in time, we'll have to split up.
If Solaris exists in the past, present, and future, how would they even obtain the Chaos Emeralds without being stopped? Wouldn't Solaris be aware of the fact that the characters are present and could take the Chaos Emeralds at any time? Why wouldn't Solaris even be privy to this conversation if it exists across all time? Mephiles would have remained in power if he stopped this.
This is where everything began. Who knew such a tiny flame could bring such devastation? If we put out this flame, Solaris will never exist.
If only there was a way to put out this flame and prevent the entirety of the story from unfolding.
And then we'll never have to worry about the flames of disaster, right? But our encounter, you and I will never meet. It will never have happened. To tell the truth, I don't care what happens to the world.
You're saying the lives of a billion strangers are more important than my Hedgehog? The end of the story shows Elise back where the game started, with Sonic still having a presence in the scene.
It felt like someone was calling me. I'm sure it's just the wind. Of course. But it felt so familiar somehow.
No, it didn't. The entire point is that none of you ever met. There's no reason for her to remember anything relating to her experience with Sonic. I don't even know what the point of that part of the ending was, or what it's even trying to convey.
Next time, try writing a better story!
So, that's the story of Sonic 06. I'd give the writing for this game a 2 out of 10. It's disappointing because underneath many of the problems in the story, there was a lot of potential with the ideas the game tried to explore. If this game was given some serious redrafting, it could have told a more compelling story, like we've seen with Adventure 2 or Unleashed. With that said, should I cover the story for Sonic Forces? Let me know if that's something you're interested in as well, because that story is far worse than this one can dream to be. That's all I've got to say for now. Thanks for watching, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe if you want more. I'll see you all later, goodbye.